Hey, Governor. Well, I haven't talked in a while. Angela Hart, KFF Health News. Thank you. I have recently the state auditor found that California wasn't doing a great job on tracking its homelessness spending. And this isn't a gotcha question. You're doing more than any other governor in the country, really, to address this crisis. So I have a two-parter for you. Do you acknowledge, Governor, is your administration doing enough to determine whether the money that's being plowed into homelessness is being well spent? And do you worry? I'm curious. Do you worry that the appetite is souring among the public for spending more, given the lack of progress that's happening?
No, I appreciate the question and the frame. It's the right question. So when I ask myself all the time, as you know from the audit, one of the vexing issues that was highlighted in the audit was local appropriations, local data collection, and it's difficult at the state level. I say it often: localism is determinative, and each city and county has different strategies and approaches. We've tried to level set that. To your subsequent question about doing enough, as you know, a few years ago, we required accountability plans before we submitted at least one of the discretionary portions, the HAP program, to cities and counties and CACs. I rejected the first plans because I didn't think there was enough transparency and accountability and ambition. We supported the last plans. I also acknowledge that we need to do more, not just in the homeless bucket, but also the mental health / homelessness bucket. That's why Proposition 1 had subsequent reforms as it relates to a requirement by July of 2026 to have one single plan for all funding sources for mental health at the local level, with more transparency, auditing, and oversight, again, of local spend. So that audit didn't surprise me in the least, quite the contrary. Also, third, and this is really important, Angela, you know this well, but for others perhaps don't, we also promoted, and I couldn't be more proud of Member Ward introducing just a few days ago, the proposal to take the framework of our housing accountability unit, which, by the way, has unlocked 23,000 housing units in the state. I'm really proud of their work. And to connect a homeless component into that accountability framework, which I think is deeply in the spirit and the zeitgeist of what the audit was at least showcasing. And so that's another tool we hope we are able to have if the legislature embraces it in the next few weeks.
I'm sorry, Governor, I didn't hear responses to either of those questions about whether this is state money ultimately. I understand it goes to the counties, but do you acknowledge whether the money that the state isn't doing enough to ensure that the money is being well spent? I also didn't hear a response to whether you think that there's any, is the public appetite, do you think, I'm hearing this, like souring towards putting more money into the crisis? I didn't hear responses to either of those.
Well, and forgive me, I'll if I appear to repeat the first response. So the audit did not surprise me. The state has advanced unprecedented investments, you're correct, and unprecedented interventions demanding more accountability with state money at the local level. That's why we created a framework for the first state plan under the HAP money. The fact that I rejected it in many ways is implicit in response to the question. I rejected it for a reason around the issue of lack of accountability in terms of ambition and in terms of what was presented in that first plan. The fact that we're creating a housing accountability unit or created one and we want to incorporate homelessness into that also is implicit in response to your question about the need to do more around state money. And the other work we did with Proposition 1 to foundationally reform an existing stream of funding to provide more transparency and state oversight of the local spend, again, is a third, I think, reinforcement of my acknowledgement about the need to see more accountability and why I agreed, as I said, with many of the recommendations and was not surprised, as I noted, with the audit itself. As it relates to the public mood, no question. More is not always better. People want, they want to see results. I've been very crystal clear about that. I've been focused, as you know, particularly on the results we want to see on the streets and sidewalks and tents and the issues around encampments. That's why those encampment resolution grants we think are a national model. Also been very insistent that we need to move some barriers in terms of engagement as relates to accountability and results at the local level, as it relates to the grants passed and the amicus brief we filed with the United States Supreme Court. So all of those are demonstrable responses, not rhetorical, but demonstrable responses to both components of your question.
Thank you. That was that was extremely thorough. Thank you.